Hello and welcome once again to the CGW Radio Podcast. This is the podcast for July 25th, 2006. We have a big show here today, but we're going to not talk for an hour like we did last time because I'm too tired for that. But what we're going to talk about, our usual round of what you playing. We're going to look at the Portal mod that's out for Prey and talk about portals a little bit. Do they work? Why do they exist? Are they good for you? And other such things. We're going to talk about the big news announced by WoW, or Blizzard, I should say, about WoW. The Horde the Paladin Shaman business that you probably all heard about. Then we're going to go into Darren's news and wrap it up with some happy questions from you people. So with me today are such editors as
Ryan Scott,
Darren Gladstone,
Sean Elliott, and Sean Malloy.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
So I think the question everybody wants to know is it hot enough for you?
No.
It's freaking hot.
It's
hot here. We're in San Francisco, and even in San Francisco, it's hot. I kind of can't take it.
It got up to like 110 this past weekend. It was insane.
I don't like it. It needs to stop. I'm tired and cranky. Sean doesn't care. Sean Elliott's just sitting over there.
He's immune. It's like the weather.
Pure
That's
energy.
A grand way to start a podcast. I'm going to step out and let our guest come in later on in the show.
Yeah, we do have a special guest joining us later on. Hopefully, I'll ask him something more interesting than how's the weather. So what are we playing? What did we play this week and the past week? Ryan, you playing anything?
I've continued to play EVE Online.
Really? It wasn't a 1 week passing fancy with you.
Well, by play I mean I've continued to keep my ship in a hangar, learning skills while I'm logged off.
Good job, Ryan. That's
That's
great
really
game.
the ultimate game.
That's what I've spent
truly
my
is.
week doing.
Can they just rename it Lazy Quest or something?
Have you actually logged on?
I have had to log on to change what skills I'm learning, but that's pretty much all I've done.
So is the goal is to kind of sit in the hangar and just kind of wait until you're leveled up enough so that you can actually go out and not get ganked the first second you start exploring the universe?
So far, that's kind of the impression I'm getting. We'll see if that changes within the next week.
That's
Can't
some
you
pretty
just go
minimal
buy a
gameplay.
character with French fries or something? Buy a pre-made character from someone?
With French fries.
I don't know, whatever you got in your pocket.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Tell some dude, hey, can I have your Eve character?
Was that Progress Quest? Was that game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it was just all you did was level. That
Yeah,
was
you
the
put it
game?
on in the background and just
Yeah.
it went while you did your work.
This really is
Wow.
Progress Quest, but
Yeah.
with a
Sounds
monthly
like it.
fee.
Sweet.
Well, someone's paying for it.
Darren?
Well, I know Sean's going to probably cover this as well, but I was playing Chrome Hounds.
Yeah, 360 game. Ah,
I know.
Great. That's brilliant.
well, that's interesting.
Change the color of your mech on your cell phone?
Exactly.
Can you? Really?
No,
No.
it's
That's coming.
You're
though.
all excited.
with Live Anywhere.
I got to get that game.
Wow, Live Anywhere is great. No, but it's I'm a fan of mechs. I mean, I'm waiting for.
No.
Let's
Let's have a quick mech argument.
Okay.
I have to
Okay.
interject and say, especially after playing a recent build of Battlefield 2042, that mechs are retarded. They don't exist. It's not Japan's dirty secret. They don't exist because something far superior exists. It's called a tank. It handles terrain better. It's faster. It's more mobile,
How could it handle
etc.
terrain better when you've got walking legs?
That get
They do
stuck
like a
on
chicken walker?
trees and that are slow to turn and that throw off your aim as you're moving.
The
Maybe
mechs
you've got
in Chrome
stabilizers in Chrome Hounds. I
also
don't care.
have treads.
But it's so slow and dumb. It's like in my I got to get it out there. My usual complaint about Metal Gear is another game with mechs in it.
Right.
The whole thing is we're building a mobile nuclear platform, and
That
it's
has chicken
it's a
walker
mech
legs.
thing. But it's like, hello, dude. Have you ever heard of a submarine? You could go anywhere you want, as fast as you want, as stealthily as you want, and deliver it where you want.
or a jet. God forbid.
Well, that takes care of water and air. Your mech is...
Yeah, because you can't, because it's impossible to get a missile launch from the water to hit land. All right, so go on.
Wow, what a
Let's
mech
talk
hater.
about Chrome Hounds.
No, it was a quick rant. It's a game that has some potential, but man, it is so freaking annoying. I had one issue is, okay, so it's allegedly the future. You control these giant walking robots, but one, there's no infrared, so you can't see in the dark. And 2, there's no like way to identify who your friends are, and they all look the same. So you end up shooting your own guys in the back half the time.
These guys haven't studied like real mech blueprints if
Yeah.
they didn't have the infrared. That's weak.
But I mean, like even like
It's really strange.
real jets
It's-
have that
it-
tech now. So
It seems like a conscious design decision on their part to kind of force you to, not rely just on your HUD or on like a flashing green arrow over
So
your
they
friend
didn't play
and a flashing
Doom
red
3.
arrow.
What about the
They didn't-
environments in that game? That's
They need the flashlight mod. for
another
your mech.
hallmark of mech games is just these big, dirty wastelands of uniform brown texture.
Yeah, you
on
get a lot of
slightly
that.
rolling
Yep.
hills.
Well, the thing about it
tree
is
every-
the single player game. A lot of like the reviews are kind of just getting stuck on that because it's pretty much just a training session, an extended training session for the online game.
online.
And I wasn't into it when I first started. I'm like, I'm just shooting things and walking forward. Then as I started playing each of the 6 role types, which is essentially like 6 classes, it almost turned into an MMO in a sort of
Okay,
way.
and that's what I was reading about.
right, you basically you form clans up, and it seems really cool in that respect. I know guys on quarter to 3 are all like forming up clans right now, and
Can you do like leather working or anything like that?
No, it doesn't have the skills
Sorry.
and classes like
If
that.
I can't knit hats for my party out of
So how is it like in MMO then? How many people are in the game?
I have no idea. That's
so
a good
it's like
question.
a MO.
it's a massive party of 5.
Maybe one of the M's is missing, but the.
But I mean, that
the-
sounds
the
like a
mechanics.
class-based shooter. What you described. That's
Yeah, it's more of a
MMO.
class-based shooter
Yeah.
then.
You guys got to quit throwing these terms around. You can confuse people.
True.
But-
We're a little cavalier with it.
Sorry,
But if
extra
anything,
M.
like I said, playing it though, I don't know about you, Sean, but I kept thinking back, like, why couldn't they make another Mech Warrior game? I really enjoyed those back in the day. Like,
Mhm.
it was-
That's the only one I could ever get into was Mech Warrior
I was
2.
really into Mech Warrior 2 too, even though my computer couldn't handle it.
But then when they used the Mech Warrior 2 engine to make Interstate 76, that I really liked.
Yeah.
But that was Cars. I can relate to Cars better.
well, you just like the funk music, probably.
Better than
I did.
mechs?
Then what?
Better than mechs?
I'm not
Even a
really
car
mech
is
guy
better
either, to
than
be
a mech.
honest. Yeah.
Put a couple Molotov cocktails in the trunk of a car, of a Pinto, and you've got a better weapon, a better instrument of war.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think if we talk about this any longer, people are going to say, "Why'd you spend the whole podcast talking about?"
Yeah,
the
let's talk
360?"
about
Yeah.
PC games.
Well, is it going to get ported?
Doubt it.
Probably
Okay,
not.
then screw it. We're
I
never
don't think
talking about
it's-
Chrome Hands again.
It's over.
I've been
Screw-
playing the ship, and I'm trying to get
Oh, the
everyone
ship.
in here to play because it would be the perfect game for us to play on lunch breaks.
Mhm.
You know, quick
Yeah,
jump in. All of us can do it. It doesn't sort of rule out people that aren't, they don't have the quickest reaction times and the best Twitch play.
So I didn't
And-
really know what it was until I read about it this morning, and it's like this is using the Half-Life 2 engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a mod for Half-Life 2, but it's
No, it
or it's
started as a mod for Half-Life 1, so
Okay.
it existed in that context. There's an interesting thing about that I'll say in a minute, but and now it's a full-blown game. It's on Steam, e-tail for $19.99, and
It's like Clue.
because it was a mod at first, it's getting some negative response where people that were used to playing it in that free context are still seeing it as a mod, and they're expecting more because it isn't necessarily the most polished game. The charm for me is not in how well it's put together, but how cool the ideas are behind it, and how and they do come. It is executed, well. I mean, it's definitely fun to play. I'm not going to play it in 4-hour marathon sessions like I do with Battlefield or something like that. But when I hop in for an hour or something, it's good times.
Mm-hmm.
So a quick rundown on it, since some people listening won't even know what we're talking about, is it's an entirely multiplayer game, and you've got each level is a different cruise ship, and when's it set? Somewhere in the 40s, I'm thinking.
Yeah, 40s-ish.
and it takes place entirely on a ship.
On a cruise ship, and every player
the name.
is basically a person on the ship. There are NPCs, but they're like bartenders, people that run the brig, that run the infirmary, and whatnot. And each person is also assigned to kill another passenger, and only they know who that is. And it's never like a tit for tat where the person you're hunting is also hunting you. They're hunting someone else, and someone else is hunting you. So you're trying to identify who your target is by walking around and inspecting them, looking at them. They can change clothes and things like that. And at the same time, watching your own back. So it gets really, because everyone's suspicious of one another. You see people walk into a room and immediately everyone kind of wants to spread out or whatnot, unless
sounds fun.
unless there's like a guard person there or something, and you can pay them, bribe them for a moment. So say if you're hunting someone and they're just going to go be chicken shit and go sit by the guard for the whole game, you can go up and bribe him and then off them. And then to add to the complexity and sort of to balance things out, you have these Sims-like needs where you've got to, relieve yourself, got to go to the bathroom, you've got to sleep, you've got to read, you've got to talk with people a certain amount. Yeah, and if you don't do these things, you get tired and then you slow down. You have to stop for a minute. People can catch you. But the fun part is that you start to balance it out. You're like, I have to take a leak, but I think someone's chasing me right now. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait. And then it turns out you were just being, paranoid, and they weren't. And then you go to take a leak, and then immediately the door opens, and there's an axe murderer in front of you and offs you when you're, whatever on the can.
That is just not a good way to go out.
It's not. I've seen the best thing is someone was taking a dump, and I poisoned them, and so they start puking because that's one of the slower. You get more. Wow. It's based on this.
That's gaming.
It's based on this economy. You get more money depending on the complexity of your kill. So an axe kill nets you almost nothing. It's an easy. There are fire axes all over the ship and for, with emergency equipment stuff. But when you get the more obscure stuff, you get someone with like knitting needles or something, and it takes a lot longer because they don't do as much damage. And they can fight back too. They can safely fight back and kill you. And then, and that works in their advantage. But the thing that keeps people from all just going homicidal and murdering everyone is that if it's not your target and it's not your hunter, you're fined and you're sent to the brig, and after a certain number of just like bloodlust kills, you're just evicted from the server.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you have to focus on your target.
Right. But you can trick people, and it's fun. Then you go into a room, close the door behind you, and push someone, which you can do, and they start freaking out, and then they pull out their weapon, and then they kill you, and you just respawn then in that circumstance, and then they get the loss, and you basically just trick them into almost getting kicked from the game by being so afraid of what you were doing. So a lot of the fun comes in that kind of scenario, and that's why I want us all to play.
Yeah, that sounds fun. So the next time, like your wife or spouse or mom or whatever complains that these games are rotting your mind, you can point them to this game where you can stab somebody while they're taking a dump.
Yeah,
or you can make a puke. That's out.
See,
perfect.
Some games are sophisticated.
Hey, it's like Clue. It is like Darren was saying, it makes a Clue, The Sims, and a first-person game. But minus
sounds really unique.
Yeah,
it is.
All right, after this podcast, let's do it.
We'll do it. Okay.
Well, maybe we should finish.
Secret alliances are fun too, because you can play like defensive lineman for someone after you've already killed your target, and you just say, "Hey, I know, if you're in TeamSpeak and other people don't know it, you're like, hey, I found your core. He's in this room. I'm going to go block him in there, and he's going to be afraid to kill me because I might not be the guy." And then you just come by the door and shoot a flare gun in there and burn us all down, and it'll be fine.
So, what are the Sims needs to this? Do they just make it so that you can't just focus on the killing? I mean, how does that figure into the balance?
They make it so that you can't, that everyone is not constantly just running around killing one another. It adds the element of tension where you have to manage that stuff at the same time.
So it's not annoying? I mean,
not really. It's kind of fun. It adds tension for me. It's like I know, like I just keep putting off sleep, and I'm like, okay, if I put it off a minute more, I'm not going to be able to sprint anymore, and that's a bad thing. And then I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to have to sleep for a lot longer than taking a quick nap, and I'm just going to be sitting there. And if someone comes in and finds me, then take my wallet and do everything. So yeah, it's not so annoying. There are quite a few different demands that you have to satisfy, and some.
Do they balance them well enough? I mean, like I can't imagine I want to run back to the bathroom every 5 minutes.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, it's like the ones like reading and entertainment and stuff. Those take a long time, and it's not like you're gonna you have to read a book every 2 minutes or something like that, or in game time every 5 seconds.
That would be a bad message to send to gamers.
Yeah, it would definitely would.
Reading is bad for you.
Reading is bad.
Yep.
Okay. So we recommend it. The ship.
I definitely recommend it. Yeah, for $19.99, and if you want something different, they are. We were talking about that, Darren. We've been playing a lot of the games available on Steam, and it's pretty mixed because you've got only a very few that really stand out. In terms of the independent stuff. So you've got Darwinia, which is the real standout, and now I like the ship, but like some of the other stuff. They just put X2 and X3 on there now, which is cool. So I'm finally getting around to playing X3.
I'd recommend you guys check it out there because the one reason I hadn't played it before is because they had Star Force on the game. So now that it's available over Steam, you can buy it off that, no problem.
Cool.
Let's see. So another big thing this week was the controversial announcement from Blizzard. It was also controversial in my office because I was supposed to break that story. So thanks a lot, Blizzard.
It appeared after you had flown down to their offices, met with them for a story, come back, they have the story laid out.
Yeah.
Open the internet one morning and look at
there
this.
It is. Yeah.
Oh, look, interesting news.
So I got to rewrite
one of the fun
it.
parts about print journalism.
Yeah, I'm gonna send Blizzard the bill for me having to rewrite that article.
2 bags of Cheetos.
Right. But what do we think of that? Actually, how many WoW? We only have, we have 1.5 WoW players here.
You have 2.5.
2.5?
You
me,
and
Sean, yeah,
are fiends.
And I'm kind of the half player.
right. He's
Okay.
the half. So the big news is that in World of Warcraft, you have your two sides, the Alliance and the Horde. The one thing separating the two sides so far in the 2 years that the game has been out is that each side had one class that the other didn't.
Mm-hmm.
The Alliance had the Paladins, and the Horde had the Shaman. And for the past 2 years, Blizzard's had to deal with the whining fans complaining about the imbalance of the Shaman or the Paladin. So they've had to nerf them both constantly. And this was their way of, in a way, kind of throwing in the towel and saying, you know what, screw all of you. You all get all of them. Now shut up.
Or are the Paladin, are these two classes like linchpins of their sides? Or
That's the problem, is that they're not.
They're not.
And I think because there was one on each side that the other couldn't have, they couldn't make them linchpins because there's dungeons you can't really tune to, if you can't have a shaman and it's impossible to have a shaman, then we can't make you have a shaman, so they're not linchpins. So that was the whole problem.
So they're filler classes.
They were very hybrid classes.
People are getting mad
roles.
over filler classes.
Now, if you call them filler classes, we're going to get like 8,000 letters
Well,
from
I
every
wouldn't go
shaman.
so far as to call them that.
And I would argue paladins are more useful than shamans in groups in the end game, but I like shamans better. So I think it's fine. I mean, it's one of those things that you can't really tell what's going to happen until it's unleashed into the game.
Well, that's the crazy thing. They announced it, and then there were 8,000-page threads on the Blizzard forums about what a disaster this was.
It's like the government
Just how
announced
everything
a tax
goes
raise,
with
or
it. Yeah, everything that is announced is a disaster.
Of course,
so.
and half people are saying, "Oh, I'm never going to play this again." Now,
Oh, absolutely.
without even
They're
actually
boycotting
seeing it.
Blizzard. They're not just going to not play WoW anymore. They're not going to play, Diablo 3 when that comes out because Blizzard's jumped the shark over this decision. So
it's funny
yeah.
because I don't play it, and it totally makes sense to me because anytime you do attempt an asymmetrical balance like that, it almost never works out exactly that way, and it's happened in Battlefield the same way.
Right, but what's the big exception to that, Ryan? This is a little gaming test.
Huh?
Yeah, the Jeopardy music.
StarCraft, Blizzard achieved this. They came up with a strategy game with 3 totally, different sides. So they proved themselves that they could do it.
And even Warcraft is,
Yeah.
Warcraft 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Well, MMOs are kind of different, though. Just because you're constantly
Right.
tuning all this stuff.
I frankly don't get it. I mean, it's like if you don't want to be a shaman on the Alliance side because it doesn't fit in with your worldview of Azeroth or something, then don't be one.
In the fan fiction,
and don't
it's
party
quite clear.
with one.
So long as they explain it in the official story, then I'll accept it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
My name is Ralphie Myers.
It's our special guest.
Special guest Ralphie Myers checking in.
So you're okay with these changes, Ralphie?
Like I said, so long as Blizzard explains it in official continuity, then I can accept it. But if they simply drop these changes on us like this without it making sense within the context, then I'm gone.
Of course, they
I think
are
they explained
offering
it pretty
lore explanations for
Yeah,
these
they are.
things. But people are saying now they're just stretching it too much.
Right, because it was so believable beforehand.
Right.
It was based on a true story. So,
I saw it. It happened.
So how does the Horde? How do they have paladins? Aren't paladins supposed to be
they're not
here's the
actual.
thing.
They
What do
don't
they
even
call
call themselves paladins, but you can. They call themselves.
And on the character select
Blood
screen, they're
Knights.
called paladins, probably.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
But it's explained that they channel the holy light for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
And they call themselves Blood Knights. But of course, Blizzard didn't want you to call them that because then you would think you were getting a new class, which you're not
Which you're
getting.
not at all.
Yeah, because it's the exact same skills.
So yeah, I guess they captured some sort of magic happy light being and put it in the basement, and they're sucking all the energy out of it. So
Right. So
hence
you're an
the
evil
paladin.
paladin.
Right.
And then the shaman, Janai, I forget.
That just makes sense on
Yeah.
its own. You don't
Anyway,
need explanation for that.
Who cares?
It's
like you get one more class to choose from.
Yeah, it'll change up the group dynamics because you can actually have a paladin and a shaman in
Right.
the same group, and that might make some different gameplay.
Right.
which could
It
be
makes
cool.
me mad to have more choices.
No,
I
I
don't
haven't
get
checked
it.
the boards, but like, were there any complaints about like them saying like, why didn't you just come up with another class for each side, a totally different
Yes.
thing?
Or why don't you finally balance the paladins and the shaman? Like this was.
Yeah, why don't you finally balance this MMO? There, yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's simple.
People suck.
Why didn't they think of that?
Gamers suck. All they do is
Heard it here first.
CGW says.
Thumbs up.
So what are your
Suck.
personal takes on it as serious WoW players?
No,
How much does it matter to you?
It
Not
doesn't-
at all.
Not at all. I don't. I think it's kind of cool. Like
Me too.
I might roll up a Blood Elf Paladin.
Yeah.
There you go.
And siphon all your gold over to him.
That's right.
Well, like
I mean, I didn't invest 9 million years of my life in a paladin or a shaman, and maybe I would feel a little more affronted if I could have known that. Oh man, I played a shaman and I really wanted to play alliance, but I had to be horde, and then now they're changing it. Maybe I would feel a little offended, but it wouldn't end my world, and I wouldn't post anything on a board.
So
That's-
for
that's
these
good to
guys,
know.
it's like the equivalent of like buying, like say if you bought some lithograph and it was said, limited to 500 prints, and then a couple years later they ended up making like 10,000 more or something, right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
I mean, just
yeah.
because you're like, okay, well, I didn't want to play on this side, but I did just so I could be this,
Right.
just so I could be a paladin, and now all of a sudden these other guys that got to play the better class get to.
Yeah, these the Alliance Paladins are up in arms because their special classes now, available to the other side.
That's pretty sad though. When
Yeah,
you start,
but the other side special class is available to them.
Well, right, but when you're a paladin, you don't care about.
but it's
that.
like what is it? I mean, it's like jealousy or like what's the exact like word
There's-
for it? But for us, never mind.
I don't know.
For a video game,
We're trying to rationalize what people on the WoW message boards are talking about.
Wow, talk about the unachievable.
Yeah.
Not that we hold them in disdain.
No, we love them all.
We love them, and we
You guys
understand
are
the
on those
passion.
boards.
But probably you want to move on because Blizzard's doing it, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
So shut up.
power to the people though.
CGW
They could stage some serious in-game protests,
we could.
They could
bring
You're
their
right.
service to their knees.
Did that work with the warrior one?
They did that with the Warriors. Yeah,
I don't remember if it worked though. Did they change anything?
I thought they did. I thought that the mass protest worked.
There you go.
So what you got to do is like get every paladin on your server to go, hang out in Ironforge and
Just jump around.
Start casting the crustiest spell all at once.
Oh yeah.
that'll
Start
show
dueling
'em.
up a storm.
That'll learn them. All right, that's enough of that. Sean, yesterday I saw you playing around with the Prey portal mod.
Trying to.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was working too well.
I don't know what the deal was. Basically, what this is Portal is coming out on Steam along with Half-Life Episode 2, and so someone whipped up something in Prey, a quickie mod that's essentially the same thing, where you have your wrench, and then by hitting Alt-Fire, you create an exit portal, and then hitting it again, you create an entry portal, and then you can just sort of pretty much the same as the Portal game, go through one into another. And I went in and right away I was like, okay, I have to start a new game in the bar set because it wasn't working when I loaded up existing saves. I had to start something fresh. I was like, I'm going to create an infinite loop and get these two jabronis in the bar stuck falling through the ground and then falling out through the roof and then back and forth. But it didn't seem to work on NPCs. They weren't going through the portal. And I guess that makes sense because in that game, only really you can go through the portals. Even though, I don't know, I guess
the
enemies
enemies pop out.
teleport.
Yeah.
The enemies do 'em.
Well,
But
they
the
teleport.
two rednecks at the bar.
They don't usually follow you through.
But you
though.
can't. Those are. I wonder if in the code those are different portals because they spawn in, and that could be a trick. Like,
Oh, you're
just to
right.
get them into the level.
Yeah.
You can't go back through those. They just disappear.
They
So
vanish.
maybe it's just
Sometimes you can.
Do the enemies ever? They never follow you in or out of a
They
portal.
never
I can't
did
remember.
when I played, but they would shoot through them.
They
but I've
shot
never,
through
them.
Yeah.
Right. I've never had one come in behind me though.
So the main problem I was having was just technical. Was that I was supposed to be able to press the button once and create an exit, and then press it again. But what was happening is no matter how quickly or how long I had the button held down, it would create two in the same spot. And I just really couldn't work around that. The other thing, I mean, it could be a fun addition to the game. I suspect it would lead to quite a few crash scenarios where you're breaking it, where you're able to get yourself in places that
Yeah.
you're not intended to, and things like that.
Right.
But it could be fun. I mean, theoretically, it could be fun for another playthrough, just messing around, seeing what you could do.
Ralphie, did you try it out? Did Ralphie, are you still here?
Well, I didn't try that one because I don't like that game.
Oh, no.
Why not?
Why not?
What's wrong?
Everybody's
No.
playing Prey.
I would rather play a game that takes imagination and like an adventure game.
I thought you were more of a shooter fan at that.
I don't like those anymore.
Oh no, what happened?
Did you get traumatized online, or?
Well, a lot of times I play online games to be friends with people, and they end up making fun of me. But
Aw.
if I'll play the right game, I'll find some of my better friends. But usually in the shooters, they ask me why if I've ever been with a lady. And when I tell them I go to LAN parties and on Yahoo Personals to meet them, then they don't seem to think that's a respectable. so
We're sorry. That
Sorry to
sounds
hear that.
terrible.
That sounds awful.
I didn't mean to laugh.
You have friends here though at CGW Radio.
Yeah, I've only been in this podcasting studio for 5 minutes, and I feel like you're my better friends.
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay.
Sweet.
Darren, when you tell us about the news,
Yeah.
Sure, buddy.
Let's go on to the news. Ralphie, you can stay though.
Stick around, man. All right.
What happened this week in gaming, Darren?
This week in gaming, some rumors came out about what it's going to take to play Crysis, and be ready to buy a new
And
computer.
it's a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I doubt these are totally unconfirmed, and guys over at EA said that these are just speculation. So take these with a grain of salt or whatever. So the min spec, you have to have at least an Athlon 64 3000 or an Intel 2.8 gigahertz CPU, and about a gig of RAM. And an NVIDIA 6600 or X800 GTO graphics card. But what it's going to, if you actually want the game to look,
Required specs.
but that's
If you want it to actually run.
if you want it to
Yeah,
actually run on your
minimum.
computer, dual core CPU, 7800 GTX, at least a gig of RAM, probably more like 2. And don't forget that 6 gigabyte hard drive space. So basically,
How much?
6 gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how there's an internet requirement here.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on now. That's too much.
512K plus.
Okay,
I was okay with it till that.
And actually, and for all our readers who complain about having to get DVDs, you're going to need a DVD-ROM.
did you
Suck it
verify?
up.
Oh, so EA just told you.
Well,
it's
no,
kinda
but
We're
tentative.
basically fanning flames of rumor here.
Basically.
But at the
So-
same time, it's like the equivalent of when Doom 3 came out, and this is primed for DirectX 10. This is really the equivalent, even though we don't necessarily have the exact equivalent of console generations. This is next gen PC gaming.
It is.
Indeed.
That
And
really
it
is the
makes
whole
sense
point.
that when you're gonna and you look at the game and you play it, and it definitely lives up to at least my expectations.
At some point, you got to pony up.
Right, and at some point you're gonna have to upgrade.
It's going to be time. So basically, if you're thinking of buying a computer now, either get a really cheapie to get you through till next year, or just save up your cash right now and get something.
It's like I'm waiting for the DirectX 10 to see what
Exactly,
what's
wait for
gonna take
Vista.
at this point now.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that surprises me on their recommended specs is the dual core CPU, because I've heard nothing but bad things about that about dual cores. One of my friends has had nothing but trouble with it with existing games. Battlefield, it introduces all sorts of crashes and stuff. Whatever else he's doing on the computer, it's just he's always on one form or another with other people that have the exact same problem with the exact same setups.
I think that's the current problem with the current gen games, is that they aren't really taking advantage of it. I think part of it is seeing these next gen games and then the next gen OS taking advantage of dual core processing.
So you think it's going to become standardized then?
Well, I think it's kind of going in that direction.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the burn is to be too soon.
That's exactly
right.
it. So I mean, like, basically, like I know, like I've gotten a couple emails from readers after running our new issue with the how to build your own budget PC.
You future-proofed yourself right out of the present.
Exactly. Well, no, that really is the problem. Is like if you can hang in there,
Mm-hmm.
and buy another graphics card, buy some more RAM, do what you got to do. But you're probably going to need to think ahead for DX10 and Vista.
And so far, it looks like this game is actually going to be worth it.
Totally.
And we're not saying that just because they paid us to say that.
Don't even
Don't even
that,
joke about that.
even
man.
joke, because there's going to be someone out there that's I knew it.
I knew they.
I knew they're for sale. Bastards.
What else is in this week's news, Darren?
All right. Speaking of Vista, or I should say Microsoft in general, coming soon. Okay, so there's been a lot of speculation about a portable portable Game Boy-like device coming from Microsoft, and they've been slowly revealing information about it. It's spelled Zune, pronounced Zune, and it's a multimedia device. All they're saying right now is an all-in-one entertainment device. Images that are on the web make it look more like an iPod killer as opposed to like a gaming device.
Mm-hmm.
But there's speculation that it's going to be a separate gaming device as well. Basically, it's kind of a platform.
Well, thank God something like this finally came along.
Yeah, because we really need another handheld to play games on because the N-Gage worked so well. But the only reason I'm bringing it up now is there could be some kind of potential crossover with Live Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing reading that is like if it is a media heavy thing, because I'm pretty sick of my iPod, but it's like the only thing because I was looking at getting something else and I was looking at creative, but it's like I like iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if Microsoft had a hub that big and had that much to offer,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't have to worry about all the other garbage about how if it's on there I can't
Transfer.
upload it to my PC at work and stuff like that. I would be into that, and then if it starts working with Live Anywhere and all that other.
Exactly.
Do you guys really think it has a chance against the iPod and iTunes at this point?
To be honest with you, I mean, like I don't use the iPod because I don't like all the stuff that Sean was just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that the Creative Zens, for example, they let you play any audio or video on the video Zen players.
Mm-hmm.
You can any video format you can watch. Like I can just drag and drop; it'll convert the file over, no problem. It isn't that cut and dry for iPod.
Mm-hmm. At this whole entertainment all-in-one thing, though, it's like they're never any good.
Right.
Yeah,
Ever.
really.
So that much is definitely true.
If
That's
if
part
they
of the
do
problem.
come up with this one that is actually finally this all-in-one device, and like I can finally get rid of the 9 things I would want to carry around all the time.
Or-
Great.
or-
But
Or what if it's not an all-in-one device? Is what I'm saying is like, what if it's like they have like the iPod flavored unit, and then they have a gaming centric unit that also happens to play MP3s and videos. It all depends on like how they roll it out. But what I see right now is it's kind of like a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because like if you have like a game device, there are certain control elements and things like that that just need to be on it.
Exactly.
And suddenly you have something that's a lot more cumbersome as like, an iPod is really sleek because you just get this little control wheel
Yeah.
and nothing else cluttering it up. It's really, really simple. It
Yeah.
can be really small.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as you start adding all like this other stuff, you get this like giant, crazy box that's like
What the
taking
hell
up.
is it?
Yeah.
The thing
I don't
about
know.
Microsoft that's scary, though, is
Skeptical.
like they always come late to the party to all these things,
Mm-hmm.
and we always laugh at them,
Ha ha ha.
and then eventually they own it, right?
Yep.
I mean, like the Mac OS became Windows. Internet Explorer, we all used to use. Well, I don't have to give you guys a computer history lesson,
Console
do I?
gaming, they don't own
Console
it,
gaming,
but they're still in it.
Microsoft Word, right? It used to all be Word Perfect.
We
Back
still,
in the day.
we still laugh at Internet Explorer though.
Yeah, you laugh at it. Yeah, they're laughing at you, buddy.
All the way to the bank.
I use Firefox
I
too.
use
but,
Firefox.
And actually, check out Flock if you haven't had a chance.
Who?
There's a new browser I'm beta testing right now called Flock. It's pretty cool. Actually ties in with like Dig and MySpace for those who use it. It's kind I don't use MySpace, but I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, no.
It's such a great way to find women. I mean,
I use MySpace on it.
oh, you do? Oh, well, what's your URL, Ralphie?
He doesn't. He just left the building. You don't want to visit this site.
Yeah, we don't want to.
You don't wanna see that
MySpace site.
All right.
One other big news item. There, Darren.
Okay, one other little bit of news. I'll skip ahead for one quick thing though before I get to it. Windows Vista, they have an official list of all the games coming out with Vista. So let's just go through this quick list.
That's interesting. Okay.
So here are all the games you get for free with the OS. Solitaire.
Thank
Oh, thank God.
Minesweeper.
Finally.
Because I was afraid I wasn't going to have
say
that.
it. Minesweeper.
Minesweeper.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
We got some Free Cell. Oh, baby. Hearts.
Yes.
Spider Solitaire.
You know what? This is awesome. They are really going out on a limb with this stuff.
Well, they're starting. This effectively destroys PopCap, and then from there, it's like everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, actually, here's where it gets crazy. Titan Chess, a 3D chess game.
3D.
3D chess.
Whoa.
Mahjong Titans. Purple Place, which is a page.
Sounds like a Sony launch.
Totally.
Sony console launch. A Fanta Vision in there.
It's a PSP game, too. Purple Palace, a kids' concentration game.
Purple?
Purple. Yeah, it's not purple.
How do you spell that?
Purple. P-U-R-B-L-E.
Like, what about, like, even
Killer
throw us a
app.
bone? Like, what about Bejeweled or something as simple as that?
Nope. They got
Keep going. Maybe the good stuff's coming.
And actually, the last one's called Inkball. It's some kind of, like, game that was coming out for tablet PCs.
Why did
They couldn't even get Elf
Why is this
Bowling.
an announcement?
I have no idea.
This isn't
Actually,
news.
Wait, okay. I
Actually,
have
what's news? What happened to the Space Cadet?
What about Halo
the pinball
2?
game?
Oh, yeah.
I missed the pinball game.
Hold on,
Halo
wait.
2.
Hang
Well,
on.
why not? You know
Halo
what?
2, that would have been good.
I have an important question.
Yes, fire
Yeah,
away.
Ryan.
What's the difference between solitaire and spider solitaire?
Instead of cards
Never tried.
with
actually play
kings
8
and queens,
Wow.
you've got spider
So
queens
naive.
and spider kings.
It's cute the way he doesn't know these things.
It is.
I have no
The
clue.
spider.
I don't know.
The Spider King.
Spider solitaire.
This is
Different,
embarrassing.
rule set.
It's me with the,
Isn't
it's me with the
this
Spider-Man
embarrassing? Why'd they announce that list? Ooh,
That's the
thank
thing.
you.
It's like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, hey, it's free, but I'm like, well, hey, why did you announce that?
Those
You
things
know?
have been in Windows all
It's like
along.
3
It's like if you
No,
had
actually,
an ad for a new
3D,
like,
3D chess, man.
Volkswagen,
purple,
and they tell you,
purple
yeah.
land
Place.
or whatever.
Purple Place.
Yeah.
Purple
Well, I
Place.
wasn't thinking of upgrading my OS, but now that I know that Purple... Come on.
purple
Can't
people.
they give us like a Sudoku game or something?
Yeah, why
That,
isn't
see, now, that would have been
there?
smart. Ryan, you're hired.
A
Thank
what?
you.
Sudoku.
Sudoku.
Oh, there you go.
See, that would have been smart.
All the kids
See?
love Sudoku.
Sudoku
See?
crazy.
And that's not asking for much, is it?
Seriously.
They whiffed on this one. Boo.
All right.
Oh, no.
Last up in the news this week, AMD bought ATI for $5.4 billion. What a
That's
deal. So, it's a big deal for, the fact that, this is happening, the acquisition is happening. But, I mean, what are the implications? I mean, does this mean that an integrated graphics board, like, you don't need to buy a separate graphics card, that you're actually something that can perform from day one? Single chip solutions for notebooks?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a quote that I dug up from, I think it was, they interviewed NVIDIA's Derek Perez. Now, he's a buddy of mine, good guy, but this quote I had to call him on. This is from FiringSquad.com. So Derek says, if you think about it, it's kind of like ATI is thrown in the towel, right? Getting beat on both ends, looking for a way out, a little bit like 3DFX a few years back. Now, is it just me, but didn't NVIDIA merge with 3DFX or buy them out? And it's, I don't know, it just seems a little funny him citing 3DFX in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think it's definitely interesting times ahead, and I'm all for having a more uniform system.
Me too.
Less components to buy.
Well, anytime you have something, if it's on board though, I mean, you're going to have to still upgrade your graphics card at some point.
Well, you will at some point, but it's nice to know you have some kind of solid base level to work off of. I mean, the one that, I mean, you can ask Mark Rain about this, who has been pretty vocal. He said that Intel's integrated graphics has killed.
Rain is.
Mark Rain, VP of Epic Games. Basically, he's been very vocal in the press about how Intel's integrated graphics solutions have pretty much killed PC gaming. So maybe this is a step in the right direction.
Well, another integrated?
Well, an integrated one.
It's like the integration is the thing.
But how well known is Intel for its graphics cards?
Right.
That's kind of the point. So
but
if
it's
you
like
have
It's like I don't want to buy the one thing when Ryan says I'm going to have to upgrade the other down the line, and it means that the only thing I'm gonna have to get ATI to fit with this, and that's the end of my options. Or
not necessarily. I mean, you have motherboards, and you could fit an ATI or NVIDIA. I mean, it's a standardized plug that goes into it. The difference here is instead of having a crap base level, you have a good base level. So it's like you start at 0 or 50, and then you want to get to 100.
Mm-hmm. Or you could just get an Xbox 360.
Or you just get an Xbox 360
and Chrome Hounds.
And Chrome Hounds.
I mean, if the motherboards, if the integrated graphics cards come without a huge jump in price, then
that's exactly it. I mean, if it doesn't
good.
affect the price, I'm fine with it. I mean, it can only mean good things. I'd like to think.
There's the whole gateway drug thing that works too. I mean, once you get someone in the door, I mean, it just kind of worked for me. I was playing, Team Fortress 2 with software rendering, and it was
Team Fortress 1.
Team Fortress 1 for software rendering. Right. And if not for that, I might not have become a PC gamer, at least not, for several years after that. And then it was at that point then I began doing the research and saying, okay, this is a dead end that I got here. It was this little this little gateway box that was, couldn't do anything to it. It had onboard solution, and that was it. No slots or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it got my foot in the door, and then from then on, the rest is history, I guess.
So do we all build our own machines? Actually, I think that was one of our questions.
Yeah,
which
actually,
I can merge into now. Yes, that came from Robert Baron Calamity Merritt. He asked on the message board, does the CGW staff prefer to build or buy their personal computers at home? So are we all builders here?
Yes.
I'm a
I'm
builder.
a builder.
Sean?
I haven't built my own yet. I've changed the parts plenty, and I bought ones where I had them built specifically for me, like through eBay and stuff.
But
Actually
you're
worked well.
not buying like a Dell.
But I'm not. Oh no,
I
no.
think that's what he means.
Phew.
No.
You can't have that on
like
the
that. I actually had a good deal. It's like I found something really cheap, my last PC on eBay, and it was like, the guy just, here's all the parts I have, we'll put them together for you and send them, and like, $350, and it was good enough to play.
That's
the
a
whole,
great. That's a great deal. It was pretty stable. You haven't had any problems.
It never
with
had any problem. I mean, I've upgraded since then. I mean, it got me through, Battlefield 42, up Battlefield Vietnam, up through that era, and then since then I upgraded for Battlefield 2. But it was a good deal. I definitely would do business with them again.
You really kind of have to, I mean, it's sort of like you said, like maybe if you buy it complete but then swap out. I mean, at some point, if you're serious about your gaming, you can't just be a closed box sort of person.
Right. You have to keep switching.
I think it's kind of the notion of PC gaming in general. I don't think anyone really goes for like closed box deal anymore, unless they're like somebody's mom.
Right.
Right.
Might as well get a console.
Yeah, I was sitting in a focus group last night with a bunch of CGW subscribers, and every one of them build their own PC.
Mm-hmm.
It's just probably the nature of it. So that's your answer. We prefer to build at CGW. Let's see. A couple other reader questions before we sign off. We'll look for the juicy ones. There's one about my tight pants. We're going to skip over that.
Despite the juiciness.
Yeah. Just stop. Let's see. We have, let's see if we can get this question down to more of a nutshell. I think it's interesting. So first one on here from, I think Renee Almond.
Very fancy almond.
Yeah, it's a fancy almond because it has an E at the end.
Almond.
Knight. He asked us about the Prey save games, or the end game, or lack of end game situation, I should say. He asks, he says, the topic was brushed on in the last podcast talking about Prey. You don't really die, just duck hunt for a while, and you're back and ready to go. So
spiritual duck hunt.
Our game's spiritual, injured
Trademark.
duck hunting. Our game's getting too easy to play. Big bosses are not big bosses anymore. In Quake and blah, blah, blah.
It's weird because I'm playing.
When was the last time you actually read the words game over?
Right.
What's our take on this?
I was playing Prey on Cherokee mode, which is their version of hard.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Is it the scalpel
The
mode?
phenomenon was weird because I actually had the only hard part of it was the very beginning of the game before you know you can spiritually duck hunt. That's the only time I've ever seen a game over screen. It was weird for like the first 10 minutes. Like I died a couple times and had to reload.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, wow, why is the beginning of the game harder than after you get to the point where you can spiritually duck hunt? And then suddenly it's exactly the same kind of cakewalk. I may have visited the spirit realm a couple more times, but it's otherwise like, well, why is this hard? Like,
Well, it's
because
not.
Well, that's the whole problem. Is that since you have the spiritual duck hunt, you could just keep going and
But
wearing
is it a
down.
problem?
I like the thing. I'm going to stand up and say I liked it, and I might not have finished it since I wasn't reviewing it. I might not have even finished it if not for that, because once they started throwing those same enemy encounters at you over and over again, where it's like, okay, look, I know there's going to be two of the big floaty blob guys here. There's going to be another one here.
Excuse me, they have a name.
Yeah, and if I die,
I don't know what it is.
Okay, if Shartok 1 appears here, and then
And EC
the
says,
Obabasaur comes out on this side. Yeah.
it was the Charizard.
So it's like, and if I kept doing that, and and if I kept dying, it's just like, So I didn't have a problem because I wanted to keep playing through the game, and it's a long enough game as it is. I feel like I got my money's worth playing it.
Yeah,
even with the spiritual duck hunt going through, and for me, it takes a really good. The harder a game is, the better it has to be,
Right.
And especially the older I get. So I mean, I think a lot of the our game's too easy now. It's like, we all remember when we were. 7 years old. I mean, it's going to differ what we were playing for each of us. You were playing some, LCD football or whatever. I was playing
you're being generous.
So if I'm playing
banging on sticks,
I'd play the original Castlevania on Nintendo, right?
You were
It's
rolling
like
a wheel down the street.
So there's no save. There's no password. There's nothing
Right.
like that. And
to
this
leave
game
the
is,
Nintendo on overnight. if you wanted
phenomenally
to.
hard. You leave it on
Yeah.
overnight, but you keep playing. It's
Yep.
like, what else do I have to do? Like, Frankenstein kill me 8 times. Who cares? Like, I'll just come back and whoop his ass. But like now, if Frankenstein beats me 3 times, then screw
You're
him.
never playing
like,
it again.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
agree.
Although,
I mean, there's so many games out there, and multiplayer games too. It's like I could be playing Prey on my own, or I could be playing, either its multiplayer or another game, and talking with people and enjoying myself. So
I just
too
with
hard.
this Prey thing, I just felt like if you didn't like this, if you were so good that you weren't going to die, then what do you care? If you can get through it without going to the spirit world, then bully for you.
point him to Far Cry. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that I eat, because I died quite a lot because I kind of suck, and I appreciated that I didn't have to go to an end game screen and then a reload or whatever. But I did think that there were some times when they could have had the health go back up on the monsters that I had killed already. Like it seemed like kind of a cheat.
Right.
It is kind of a cheat.
Yeah, it is.
Like Titan Quest works that way.
Sanctioned.
When you die and come back, I mean, obviously it's a totally different game. It's an RPG, but if you die in the middle of a boss encounter,
they have their
and
health
come back, their health is back up to max.
It'd be interesting to find out if that was something they added like after playtesting. Maybe people were playing it and having maybe the Sean issue where they like, I don't really want to play this, so I have to keep reloading. It's not that good. And then they said, okay, well, let's add this death mechanic where you'll it's not that annoying anymore. So now do you want to keep playing?
Yeah,
I don't know, finish it.
I think the idea of that you have to go through a game and keep hitting the game over screen.
people, you know what? I think the more I think of it, the function of spiritual duck hunt sort of exists in most games anyway that have a quick save function.
Yeah.
And although
Yes.
pressing pause or something, that's not internal to the dynamic of the game. It's kind of this outside activity.
Right.
It still becomes attached to it as a game in and of itself. Like, when should I press this? Should I do it now? Like, I've got just enough health. Do I really want to do it here? And you keep doing it. So it's like, it just turned that into something that's integral and that's inside the game.
Right.
Proper,
I think that's the difference. It's kind of like when you have a quick save or whatever. You're kind of you're working outside of the